I wondered, your name is Rawia Liverpool.
Yes.
Yes. Could you tell me what your name means?
Yes, so Rawia is Arabic, and it's a name that my dad gave to me when I was a child. And the story goes that he heard it in a song, Egyptian singer, and he liked the name, and that's why he gave me the name Rawia. And I remember when I was young, I didn't like it. It just felt old-fashioned, I don't know, big. And also when I came to the UK, I remember everybody struggled to say the name because it was foreign, different, And I think I don't pronounce my R's very well. So whenever I wanted to tell people Rawia, somehow they said Claudia. So sometimes it was too much to correct them. So I said, and I left it.
But do I pronounce it well? Is Rawia?
Yeah, it's not a V, it's W.
Rawia.
Rawi.
Rawia.
Rawia, yes.
Rawia.
Yeah. Because W in Dutch is V. So sometimes when they see my name Rawia,
they
think
Rawia.
it's a V, but it's not. It's more like the English pronunciation of the W.
Yes.
So it's Rawia. Yeah.
And what does your name mean?
It means a female storyteller. For a male, you say Rawi, and for a woman, you say Rawia. So it means a female storyteller. And I only learned that when I was older, that's the meaning of the name.
And how old were you? Because I was wondering.
Oh, God, I think very late. Maybe around the time I already started coaching and, in that period when really stories started featuring in my life, I reflected on my own stories, and when I work with clients, everybody had a story. And then somehow the name and the stories came together. I thought, oh my God, I'm the female storyteller. And this is the work I do with clients. I listen to stories. I share some of my own stories sometimes to, empower others. That's how I sort of realized the name was really perfect. Sometimes I joke and I say my dad must have known something I didn't know long time ago.
Yes, I know. And I find it quite amazing because, in some cultures and apparently also in Arabic cultures, you name the child in a symbolic way, right? That something that you have foreseen for that child, or maybe it's I don't know, just to give to the next generation, that you have a wish for the next generation. But it's
I think in certain cultures names need to have a meaning. So often, especially in Arabic cultures, almost every name I know has some sort of a meaning. So it's quite common that your name would have a meaning. And in Ghanaian culture, they also have that sort of thing towards meanings. But also it's so important in Ghana that a child has a name from the minute that they're born. So what they do is they give you instantly a name connected with the day you were born. So there are standard names for males, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, every day has a name. And there's standard names for females. So depending on the day you're born, you have a name from the minute you're born, and then they think of another name that they want to give you. So I was born on a Tuesday, so automatically my first name from birth is Abna, because Abna is girls born on Tuesday. So there will be many Abnas.
Yes, there are many Abnas, but
yes, exactly.
That's your first official name, and then your second
name. So
name.
that's my first official name, and then I was given Rawia, and then I think I don't have a second name. Yeah, it's just Rawia. Yeah.
It's just Rawia.
Yeah.
And you come from a mixed background, and it's a combination between Lebanese and
Ghana.
Yeah.
I was born in Ghana. And I went to Lebanon when I was about school age. And then life for me ended up between the two countries because there was a war in Lebanon, which meant when I was a teenager, I went back to Ghana. And then after 3 years in Ghana, there was a coup. So we ended up going back to Lebanon. And then when it came to university, it was still unstable in Lebanon for me to go to university there. And usually most students in the school where I went, because it was an American school, went to the US. So I thought I would go to the US, but my dad was very worried about a young girl going on her own to the US. And my uncle was living in the UK at the time. So he said, why don't you go to the UK instead? And that's how I ended up in Europe.
All right.
In the UK, circumstantial
Yes.
things moving in the universe, sending you in a certain direction.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And then for the past, what I've read was that you've been living in the Netherlands for the past 24 years already.
Yeah, I think even 25 now.
Yeah.
We came in 2001, the summer of the 9/11 incident. Yeah, so that's why I remember the year. I'm not good with time usually, but I remember the year because it was this huge, terrible event that happened the first year we arrived. Yeah, so we were here in 2001.
Wow. Up until now, I've heard so many things already that I would like to dive into, because it's kind of that you've lived many lives already up until now. But at the moment, you're working as a coach and counselor in The Hague.
Yes.
And I'm very curious to like your own transformation, you know, working towards the work that you're now doing for clients.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think somehow it's interconnected, you know, like the transformations that you've been through, that is your, you know, your tools, your baggage, also to help people.
So as a child, I from about age 5, I was in Lebanon. And it was in the 60s. I was born in 62. So in that time, really mental health wasn't something you talked about. And particularly in the culture in Lebanon, it wasn't also something that was respected. If you were a psychologist, nobody thought, oh, wow, what a profession. It wasn't really seen as something, you know, respectable, you know. And nobody talked about mental health issues. They whispered if there's something. So it was something that always felt like a taboo. And I remember as a child, actually always interested to read articles to do with human behavior. And I think a part of me was trying to explain my story, my situation, because I was this black girl in Lebanon in the 60s. Not many people looked like me, and not even in my family anybody mirrored how I looked. So there was discrimination, there was racism, which I didn't understand, of course, as a child. But I always felt I was different, and because of that, I was treated differently. And in a way, the message was like, I'm not good enough as I am. So I think something in me wanted to explain that. I wanted to explain, why do I feel sad, you know, anxious, and others around me feel different? Why do they feel this way and I feel that way? Why does somebody behave in that way and I'm behaving this way?
And do you mean as a child growing up in Lebanon, you noticed that you were sad?
Yes, because I think the treatment made me, you know, like you feel that you're being treated as an outsider and that you don't belong. And somehow that made me feel sad, but I couldn't articulate my feelings. So I had a tendency to be melancholic. I was introverted, quiet, never wanted to be visible. And I really thought a lot. You know, you would be sitting quietly and I'm reflecting on many things from really very young age. And I looked at books and articles to explain this experience. So I often read about human behavior. When there was, I don't know if there was a magazine called Cosmopolitan, and they often had these quizzes. I loved those quizzes about your character, your personality.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Yes, I just enjoyed them. And I thought,
right.
oh, maybe I'll get answers there. So there was that curiosity from the time I was young, and I had forgotten about it. But I never considered a profession in psychology, because really, you know, my dad told me, you can choose to be an engineer, a lawyer, or a doctor. These were my choices.
Oh my gosh, it's as if I am hearing my own story, but through your eyes.
I think the culture probably is similar.
Yeah, because from the age of 8, my grandparents had a restaurant in Amsterdam, and every time after school they gathered around the table. You know, we got food because we came out of school, and then they were already telling me, Ochungme, when you grow up, you will study and you will become a banker or a lawyer or a doctor.
Yes, yeah. Because in that time, these were the professions that everybody thought were respectful and that, you know, they were financially secure.
Yes, but just like you, whenever I opened a magazine, because there were always a lot of magazines in the restaurant, I was drawn to human behavior.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, because nothing about like emotions or human behavior was ever explained to us.
Yes.
Because they were always working.
Yes. And there was the culture is that you don't waste time on this. You just soldier on, you do what you have to do, you get on with life, you know. So there was no time really taken
that's right.
to look at.
So you're soldiered on to
yes,
into
so
what? Into
I
what
sort of
type of
soldiered
work?
on, and I actually wanted to become a doctor at first because when my dad offered me these 3 professions, the most appealing one was doctor because I always had a desire to help others, make them feel good. So I thought, I could do that as a doctor. So that was my focus. And then I came to the UK. By that stage, I had suffered already like a trauma. A cousin of mine died. We grew up together. And she died in very unexpected circumstances. So I remember thinking, I don't know if I can dissect bodies. I don't know how I'd feel if I lose a patient. Perhaps I'm not made to be a doctor. But by that stage, I had invested in a lot of scientific subjects. So my dad said, well, how about a pharmacist? You know, it's the same subject. It's more flexible for you as a woman when you get married and you have kids, you know, it's a more flexible profession. And I thought, okay.
Oh, and that's how he explained it to you.
And that's how I ended up doing pharmacy. I thought, okay, I don't want to be a doctor. I've invested in this subject. Perhaps pharmacy would be like close enough.
Yes, but also with choosing pharmacy, you chose to have a family next to it with children.
Well, you know, being in Arabic culture, they always saw you as a female that, you know, one day you will be married, you'll have kids, and you'll be the one caring. There wasn't this idea of equality.
I know,
you know?
but it's interesting. It's how it was transferred into your mind. You know how it became a seed.
So that's how I really ended up being a pharmacist, you know. And I enjoyed the work for many years. But what was interesting in pharmacy is within pharmacy there's an element of counseling, because you're counseling clients around how they use the medication. You're talking to doctors around side effects and how they should use medication. Should they go for this medication or this drug? So there is an element of this counseling and talking. And also at the time I worked in hospital at St. Thomas's in London, St. Thomas's Hospital. And I always noticed that patients, when they came to us, they asked us a lot of questions that they should have asked the doctor. But somehow they felt intimidated asking a doctor. So they came and asked a pharmacist. So I often talk to these patients about things that were not necessarily my responsibility as a pharmacist, but because they felt so comfortable talking to us as pharmacists, we answered a lot of their questions. So often they would come to the hatch where they collect medicines, and I heard so many personal stories that didn't have to do with pharmacy. They just talked to me. And I recognized that very, early, that, people really talk. I like to listen. I offered compassion, support, and that part of the work I really enjoyed. But actually it was not pharmaceutical.
Yes, I understand.
But again, I didn't recognize that perhaps I'm in the wrong profession,
So when did you recognize that?
I think in my 30s, when I was living in Oman, I really suffered a mental health breakdown. I faced a crisis and I really was depressed. Found it very hard to get up in the morning. I had 2 kids and I thought I really want to be present for my children. And because I didn't grow up with my mom, I really wanted to be there for my daughters. So I went to my GP, and we were living in Oman at the time, and I said, I'm really struggling and I need you to help me because I want to be there for my children, And that's how I came into the mental health issues, through my own mental health issues.
Do you remember what how did it start? How did you experience all these stress and so on?
I mean, I lost a lot of weight. When I'm upset emotionally, I notice that the first part of my body that feels that is my gut and my stomach. So I straight away don't want to eat.
But did something particular happen?
Yes, there was a crisis. I had a relationship crisis in my life.
Oh, you had a relationship crisis in your life.
It was, like I said to you, when I was younger, I was always a bit prone to melancholy, depression. I was sad. So I think there were things already there that weren't addressed. And I just, like I said, soldiered on.
Yes, and during that relationship crisis,
and then
it all
I
surfaced.
became a mother. I got married. I became a mother. We had a life where we were traveling around the world. So all these challenges, moving from country to country is challenging. Marriage is challenging. I left my job because I followed my partner. That's also challenging. And then you have kids. That's also challenging. So these things were piling up more and more, and I'm just coping.
Yes,
and I'm coping.
And you just got stuck because of all of these different factors.
Yeah. And then we had a relationship crisis. Things were not going on well in the marriage, and I sort of hit rock bottom. And there was nothing left in me to fight anymore. But there was one thing that motivated me: is I really want to be there for my children. So that was the motivator at first, And I went to the doctor and I said, "You need to help me." And then first there was this drug that was new for mental health called Prozac. I don't know if you've heard about Prozac.
Yes, I've heard about it.
It was a very, very popular thing. So he gave me Prozac and referred me to a psychiatrist at the university hospital. When I came home, being a pharmacist myself and knowing about drugs and side effects and things, I remember looking at this medication and I thought, this is not going to be my life. So I put it on a shelf in the cupboard and I didn't use it. Don't ask me why I had this thing that told me not to do it. It's just intuition. So I didn't use it, and I thought, let's wait and see the psychiatrist and see how we
But it's
go
also
on.
a mixture between your intuition and your knowledge about some type of medication, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, nothing against medication. For some people, it's helpful. But I felt that I hadn't done anything yet to work on this problem.
Yes.
Am I going to...
So why medicate?
Why medicate as a first line of treatment, But I think the doctor gave it to me because I really seemed bad. And I think he wanted to support me until I had an appointment with a psychiatrist,
Yes.
So anyway, we had an appointment with the psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist, after listening a bit to the story, he recommended an NLP coach. I had never heard of NLP before.
The psychiatrist recommended you an NLP coach?
Yes, because he realized that it's not like a clinical, I wasn't suffering from a clinical condition as such. And it was more a social cognitive kind of problem.
That's amazing, because that's one of my motivations in life, to build bridges between the regular mental health care and the alternative mental health care.
Yeah.
So you've experienced that firsthand.
Yes, I mean, it was wonderful. There are certain key people in my life that I'm always grateful for. And I'm grateful for that psychiatrist because he listened, he really understood the background, the issues, and he said, this is what he will suggest, And like I said, I'd never heard of this. I thought, what is it? But I was so desperate that I was willing to try anything. So I did go to meet this, and this person had this, like something he did on the side, his regular job. He was a pilot for the Sultan of Oman.
Serious?
Seriously.
But he was working as a psychiatrist.
The coach that he referred me to.
The coach was working as an NLP coach?
Did that as a side job. He was the NLP coach, but his regular job was a pilot for the Sultan of Oman. So I went to
That's incredible.
Yeah, so I went to see this NLP coach.
NLP pilot coach.
Yes, and through like a couple of sessions, I noticed that I was changing. Like my perception of myself changed, my perception of the world around me. Suddenly certain things started to make sense. And I thought, this is really interesting. I would love to learn this NLP because, 2 sessions and I'm already slightly different.
It sounds like a quick fix.
Yes, I mean, I did several sessions. I did several sessions with him. It wasn't like just the 2, but I noticed changes from as early as 2 or 3 sessions. And I did say, oh, wow, this is interesting. Where did you study it? I would like to study it. I was really curious. And then eventually he gave me the name of the organization, institution where he studied in London. And by the time we came to Holland, I had decided that I want to study this. And I wanted to study it for me, just to self-develop myself, to grow personally. I had no plan to work with it at the time.
And how long did it take for you to recover from being...
It's a gradual thing. You start and you get better and you get better. So I always say it's like an avalanche. It builds up and becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. So really it's a continuous journey. I still think I'm improving now.
Yeah, yes. Oh,
You know, so
no,
it's not like, oh, it starts and it ends here.
Yeah, I fully
But
agree.
I think
But
to be functional, maybe that's what you're asking.
Yes, because you mentioned that you hit rock bottom, right?
Yes,
and
I
that
was
you,
functional, I would say within, 3-4 sessions, 6 sessions. I was doing what I needed to do. I was better.
So within a couple of months.
Yes, I felt more positive, more hopeful. I became, my self-confidence grew because I really had very low self-esteem as a child and teenager. I didn't feel worthy. And I noticed that was changing. I was becoming more confident. I felt that, I deserve certain things in the world, So that already changed within a few months, I would say, yes.
And I find it truly impressive because I'm thinking about all the different factors that were involved and that led to your breakdown. And those were many factors, right?
Yeah, yes.
And hearing your story and that you could pick up your life again within a couple of months, I think it also means that you were coupled with someone with whom you had a match,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I felt very comfortable with this coach, I felt very understood and seen. And also what happens sometimes, at some point, whether it's coaching, therapy, any kind of, mental, emotional work, at some point there's a shift that happens. And that shift makes a huge difference. So something, like I always describe it, it's like as if I was in a dark room and somehow the curtains were open and I could see. I could really see my life in a new light. As a child, I thought I'm not worthy, I'm nothing, I'm not of no value. Suddenly I realized, actually, no. Who said that I'm not worthy? Who said that I have no value? It's the people around me defined me and treated me in a certain way because of the way I looked. Why do I need to accept that? Why don't I make the definition of me, me? So this shift in perspective and perception was huge for me. And that's when I started to really almost go back to the beginning of my life and change things as I come to this moment. It's like everything, no, that's not how, it's like the beliefs I had. Suddenly I was changing those beliefs about myself, about my relationship with other people, and about my relationship with the world. Slowly changing, it's like a domino effect. You turn it, and then everything changes.
I know, but did you experience that in the session already? Or you mean in between sessions, noticed?
I think mostly in between. Most of the stuff happens in between sessions. But of course, the seed is planted in the sessions. So something in the conversation, a certain thought, it could be a metaphor he might have used, a story he probably shared, stays with me. And then in the time in between, I'm reflecting. And memories started also coming to me from my childhood. I remember remembering myself as a child and how much of a fighter I was. And suddenly I thought, oh, but I do have a fighting spirit. I'm a strong person. I don't need to give up and fall apart. I have that inside me. I can reconnect with it. So certain things like that happened in my process that really helped change me, make me stronger. I somehow regained my resilience.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yes. It brings me back to when I met my first coach. It was years ago when I was, I think, 23, 24. I went to Madrid. I met a really lovely Australian lady, and she became my friend. And then the year after, I visited her because she was back again in Europe, in Chamonix in France. And then she listened to my life story, and she said, Junmei, you should come and speak to my life coach. And he's here. He's close by. We can drive up to his place and you can meet him.
Yes.
And then he offered his coaching skills to me because he was at that time learning to become a coach.
Yeah, so he wanted the training.
He said, I wanted training and I can help you even though you will be back in the Netherlands. We can have coaching sessions over the phone.
Yeah.
it was new to me, and I was still studying at that time.
Yeah.
And then somehow he helped me shift some things which I wasn't aware of, because I was really in the work mode.
Yeah.
And whenever I felt restless, I looked up friends.
Yes.
You know, so
Yeah.
I came to a point that I couldn't be at home reading a book and enjoying it. Somehow,
needed distractions.
Yeah, somehow I needed to reach out, and then he said to me, Chungmei, like after every coaching session over the phone, I can give you some homework, and then this time your homework will be reach out to me. Just let me know whenever you feel restless again.
Yeah.
We can have just a short chat over the phone. You can share with me what you feel,
Yeah.
and then decide what to do.
Yeah.
Instead of sticking into that same cycle of avoiding to feel, and
Yes.
just go out the house, and do something
Get yourself
social.
busy with something
yeah,
else.
yeah,
Yeah.
with other people.
Yeah.
Just to distract myself from that annoying feeling.
Yeah.
And I thought that was amazing. I thought, could it be that simple?
Yes, it is that simple.
Because he was because he was studying to be a coach, and that was amazing.
Yeah.
All these tiny shifts with a bit of help, and then you just move on and experience more of those moments.
Yeah. And these are the things that I discovered later, like what you're sharing, because the NLP helped me a lot with a lot of things around perception and confidence. But then moving forward, I always felt there was more. There was something else that needed to be addressed. There were still things I was feeling, I was struggling with, and I didn't know what they were. And that's when the story was completed by me coming across transactional analysis. And I remember going to a network event, and this woman was talking about TA and ego states. And as I was listening to her, I thought, this is it. Again, intuition. I was listening to what she was sharing, and I thought, that's the piece of the puzzle that's missing for me. That's what I need to do. So I wanted, again, to study it, to work with somebody, who's qualified in it. And that's where another crisis happened. My marriage was falling apart, and it was a period where we decided we're going to divorce. And that's when I got coaching with a TA counselor. And she worked on the things that NLP didn't actually address. So then I realized there were traumas in my life. There was a lot of things that were not addressed. And through working with her, I sort of unraveled more and more things. And then also eventually from her, when so many childhood traumas came to the surface, and she was also not a body somatic sort of specialist. So she said to me, I think you'll benefit from working with a somatic therapist. So I went to a somatic therapist, and that's the part when I started listening to my body and being more attentive to what's going on inside me rather than being distracted by all the noise outside.
And do you mean you were working with her, and parallel to the sessions with her, you also had sessions with a somatic therapist?
No, I finished with one.
Yeah.
And then she said, I've done everything I can with you.
Yes.
I think you'll benefit from, someone else.
Yeah, wonderful.
So I said, well, you know me very well. Can you recommend someone? And she recommended somebody. And she was wonderful. So I did really different kinds of, I did the NLP, I did TA. And the somatic therapist was also TA, like she had also TA in her background, but she had other things that were very helpful to me.
Well, that formed a wonderful bridge, right?
Yes.
Because then she
So all
understood
those
where
things,
you came from.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and diving into the childhood traumas that surfaced and you got connected with, it reminds me of a quote that you shared on LinkedIn, that it's important to bring your darkest side into the light before you can heal it. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So if I just tell this to you, what do you remember of that period of recovering from trauma?
Like many people think trauma has to be something big, like a war.
That it has brought about by war or by sexual
and there are
traumas.
definitely these are very traumatic things. But trauma can be also something very small. You could be in class, maybe your teacher shamed you in front of a group of people, and that was so traumatic for you. You locked it in, you didn't talk about it, you didn't process it, and it went on to impact you so much so that you cannot stand in public and speak, for example.
I know. I recognize it because, as you know, I'm working with highly sensitive people.
Yeah.
And in the previous years, I've seen a lot of introverted, highly sensitive people. And there was one woman who shared a story with me, and she said, I was sitting in the classroom and I always took my time to draw. And then everyone in the class was finished. And then the teacher just yelled out, like, why are you so slow? Yeah, so that's like a typical small, like in the eyes of people, it could be a small trauma, but in your own perception, it could be
big.
huge and impact all different areas of life.
And sometimes you don't remember it.
Yes.
Like you might not really remember the incident, but your body holds the memory and then you act on it. So I always had issues with public speaking. I really found it very stressful, and I discovered that around...
But now you're working as a trainer as well.
As a trainer, I think 15 years, 20 years, I couldn't have done this. I would have been very stressed, very nervous. I wouldn't have been relaxed like this, having a nice conversation with you.
And now you're super relaxed. So how...
Well, the way I realized it is that I only knew that I was very nervous and stressful, as if really I'm being chased by a lion. You know, I can't describe to you how fearful the whole event of me having to stand and talk, and I couldn't understand. And I did a lot of practices, affirmations, this, that, practicing. It helped a little bit, but it didn't touch at the core issue.
So what was it for you?
Until I connected with the trauma from childhood. Of me, even like you don't have to remember it fully in detail, but you'll connect with something that was negative when you were visible. So something in my childhood when me was seen and being noticed didn't go well. Maybe I was shamed, maybe I was scolded, maybe told off like your client publicly. That made me just want to stay in the shadows. I don't want to be seen. So when you want to stand and talk, everybody's eyes are on you. So my body told me, you're not in a safe place. You can't be there. So my body felt that unsafety, you know. And I thought, wow, now that I understand what's happening, all these symptoms is a protection for me. In a way, my body's trying to protect me and telling me this is not a safe situation for you.
And how were you able to let that tension go?
Because I understood and I realized, okay, I'm no longer in the past. I'm not in that unsafe place anymore. Look at those people, they're lovely. They really want to support me.
So for
they want to encourage me, you know?
So for you, that was the key to fully understand it, and then you were able to let go of the tension. Or have you done some somatic exercises to let go of the tension?
In a way, when you're becoming aware of what's happening in your body, and then you're meditating, and sometimes I would do exercises that comfort my inner child. So I would bring the image of me as this young girl, baby, toddler, and in a way, I'm reparenting her. I'm telling her, you're safe, you're okay, I will take care of you. And those little exercises seem simple, but they have such a huge, profound positive effect on your state of mind. And so they calm me down. So often before a presentation, I do a little meditation. I sit, you know, and I close my eyes and I bring that little girl to me. And I tell her, you're okay.
That's beautiful.
You're safe. It takes me 2 minutes. And then I straight away calm down. So it's not that you don't feel anymore that agitation. You do, but you know how to manage it. You know why it's happening. You understand that the anxiety and the fear is not belonging to the present moment. It's something from your past. And that really is helpful. So all this experience that I've had is such a wealth of knowledge that I can use to support my clients. So often, without me targeting that group, somehow I got a lot of people who were anxious, who were afraid. Automatically they came to me and I thought, this is interesting. I suffer from anxiety, I have fearful past, etc. And there are these clients coming to me with the same issues. So sometimes really you attract what you've experienced and what you've overcame. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I also recognize that
Yeah.
because I started out having a burnout at when I was 23.
Wow,
and
that's
then
young. Yeah.
That's really young. And
Yeah.
when I was 26, I started my practice as
Yeah.
a coach. And then in the first 2 years, I attracted people who got into a burnout. Yeah.
Yes.
And then afterwards, in 2007, I think I went through some type of relationship crisis, and then afterwards I received people who had relationship issues.
Yes.
Yeah, so every time I went into a different cycle, and I think that has to do with your energy body, because every time you shift and something good replaces something bad, or you transform as a person, you feel stronger, more confident, you start attracting the things that you can handle.
Yeah.
I think as a therapist also.
And you grow.
Yes,
like,
you grow.
I feel with every client I work with, yes, they learn something from me, but I learn something from them too. So it's a sort of co-creative process where we're both learning from each other and growing through that experience of working together. And I treasure those times and those clients that teach me so much about life, about myself, you know?
Yeah, me too. And there's another topic that I want to discuss with you, because I also have friends who work as a psychologist in regular healthcare. And they've told me that it's not a part of the session or the treatment, you know, for the psychologist also to share parts of her own
we call
process.
it disclosure. We call it disclosure.
Yes, disclosure. Yeah.
Yeah, there are different philosophies around this.
Yes.
There is philosophies where they say it's okay. There are philosophies where they say you should never do it. I think if it's helpful to the client, then it's okay to share. Because sometimes certain things from your own experience might really support and empower your client. So it's not that you go into the session and the session is about you. It's more depending on what the client brings. There might be something in your story that will help this client feel seen, heard, understood. So a certain amount of disclosure in the interest of the client is okay. That's my philosophy.
Yes, and I can shake hands with you on that, because that's also what I believe. But I think I've come to believe that because I started out immediately in the alternative mental health care.
Yes.
And I haven't worked in the regular mental health care. But when I share my stories from my practice with my friends who are working as a psychologist, then they're like, whoa, this is interesting, you know, because we wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
We wouldn't do that. But now we're coming to also the topic of from which cultural background we're coming from, because I'm coming from a collectivistic cultural background, and you as well. And what I've noticed in my practice is that when you have that philosophy of we can bring also something to the table, when it fits in the context of the personal development issues of the client, right? Then what I've experienced is that the client, who also comes from a collectivistic cultural background, feels seen, and also because of the story shared, they're like, this also happened to me, and this is also how I go about things, and you know, in many ways it hasn't worked for me, and I want to break out of that circle. But you know, sometimes people don't know what they can work on.
Yes, that's true.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, you know, I didn't expect when I started to work that people of mixed background will come to me because I am of mixed background, or that people of an African background will come to me because I have an African background, or people who are from the Middle East will come to me because I'm half Lebanese. But I ended up attracting clients like that, and the reason sometimes initially that they came to me is like, we feel because of the background, you would get certain things about our story and our situation. There's a little tiny thing.
Yes, I know. Sometimes there are tiny flies here.
So I remember working with a client who had an African background, and she said to me, because you are from an African background, I can share this with you. I wouldn't have shared it with somebody else. And that relationship, when you're working in sessions, it's so important for the client to feel absolutely comfortable to share things with you and not to feel judged or assessed and thinking, "Ooh, this is weird," you know, because sometimes certain things from certain cultures might seem strange to somebody from a different culture, you know. So I often
or need more explanation.
Or need more explanation, you know. I mean, not everybody is open to saying, "Oh, it's interesting, tell me more." Some people might say, "Oh, you know, what is that?" So yeah, I ended up working with a lot of clients who had a mixed background, not only mixed background, who struggled to feel accepted from either background, which is something I've experienced growing up. You know, I didn't feel fully accepted by the Lebanese culture. I didn't feel fully accepted by Ghanaian culture because I was different. I'm different here and I'm different there. Where do I belong? 1 foot here, 1 foot there.
And where were you accepted?
I sort of thought, you know what?
Let's go to London.
I am even London. I'm not British. Like I have a British nationality.
Yes, that's right.
But sometimes people will talk to me and they say, "Oh well, you know, you weren't born in Britain. You didn't grow up. You know, you immigrated and then became." So in a way, everywhere somebody will tell you either belong or you don't belong. So I've eventually thought, all these things are part of me. I have something from the UK in me, I have something from Holland in me, I have something from Lebanon, something from Ghana. Who knows what else is going to be part of my life going forward. So I am a mix of everything. I don't need to sit in one specific box.
And you don't need other people telling you don't fit here, because
Absolutely.
I think, when I listen to you, I hear that you decided, I belong.
Yeah.
Wherever you are, you belong,
Yeah.
right? And that's something within you.
Yeah, it's inside, you know.
Yeah, it's
It's not the external.
No.
It's a feeling, really. But yeah, I mean, it was a journey. It was a journey for sure.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Well, you mentioned something interesting, because from when you started out as a coach and counselor, you didn't attract all these people from mixed backgrounds, right?
Not straight away, no.
Not so much.
And I actually didn't sort of, what's the word, chase that. It didn't occur to me. I wasn't in that place in my personal journey.
Yeah. So what happened in your personal journey? What had shifted your mindset in order now also to, position yourself as this person with mixed cultural background and helping
So
people?
I think the shift came, I think it was in 2020 when George Floyd was killed in the US, and this whole movement of Black Lives Matter. Before that, I didn't really openly talk about racism and discrimination that I faced. It was a bit of a difficult subject because, like I said, my family were also non-Black. And within the family and the extended family, they also had unconscious bias. There was discrimination. Unintentionally, they were racist. So how do I talk about that with people I love, who I know they have the best intentions? How can I say that, what you're doing is not okay? So I often thought about their feelings and I suppressed my own feelings. So I didn't talk about it, or sometimes I used to find a different reason for the behavior and say, oh, perhaps it wasn't racism, perhaps it's not that, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. You excuse someone's behavior because you don't want to acknowledge what is. And when this whole thing happened in 2020 and Black Lives Matter and so much talk, I suddenly thought, my God, it's time. I need to share this part of me. I need to be able to talk about it, and it was part of my healing journey to be able to bring it out in the open and talk about it compassionately. I'm not like attacking others or saying they're bad. I understand that we all have biases, and if you don't acknowledge them, they'll never change. If I say, no, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'll never change. The first step is to really humbly accept that I am behaving inappropriately. And how can I learn to be different? How can I understand the other side and where they're coming from? How do they feel when I say something or when I do something? And then work on that to change. So then I started writing about
writing. You started
I
writing
blogged.
about
I
it.
started posting blogs about the experience, sharing certain memories and stories that came to me from my childhood, and sharing them with the motto with the motto of like bringing it more to the open and for people to reflect and change. I always wanted to bring something positive into the world, to change. And then people who read those blogs identified with the story because they've also experienced things themselves. So I think that's how that idea of me being mixed background, talking about my mixed background, talking about how I didn't feel accepted by one, didn't feel accepted by another, how it affected my mental health, and how I struggled and how I came to sort of work on it and change.
Yeah.
And I see you're emotional.
No, oh God, I didn't want to become emotional, but when I listened to you, I thought, oh my God, this is like maybe the second or the third story that you've key story that you've shared that is so similar to what I've experienced.
Yeah.
And for you, it was like 4 years ago. For me, it's more recent that I started opening up about racism.
Yeah.
And no, I find it really valuable to hear your story and what motivated you to open up, because I think it's so important and crucial, to change.
Can I hold your hand?
To change the roots of behavior.
Yeah. Our voices are important, Shangmei. Our voices are important, and the story is important to be told, and it helps you and supports other people. So please talk about it and share. It's so important.
Yeah, it's. I know it's really important. But yeah, it's just amazing, to hear your story, and that again, I could say the same thing. Like yes. I could have shared this story, but then from my perspective.
Yeah. And see, when we talk, we realize we're not alone.
Yeah, and that's I think the most supportive thing about
that you
this
realize, oh my God,
exchange.
We're not alone.
Yeah, because you can feel so alone with this, because I think the tendency has been for ages to keep our mouths shut. Because earlier we talked about different collectivistic cultures that are not yet open for therapy, right? But this is another way towards opening for therapy, because then you just share your life stories about what has happened to you. And
I do talk about, like, the reason I share is not because I just want to share too much of myself. I really share because I want people who identify with how I look or the culture I come from to also realize there are possibilities. And also, if they come from a culture like my culture that frowns upon mental health, for them to realize, hey, but she did it, she embraced this approach, that there's nothing wrong with it, there's no shame in us being struggling and us needing help. Another thing that I find culturally is something around disability. There are certain cultures that if you have a disability, whether it's mental or physical, that they see it as something shameful and they hide it behind closed doors. And I really find that disturbing and we have to talk about it. We have to say this is not okay. If we don't talk about it, nothing changes. So discrimination of any kind, whether it's religious, sexual, physical, gender, I really have low tolerance for this, and I really want to work to bring more knowledge, so we stop being discriminating and racist. It's important. I mean, we're in 2025, for God's sake.
Yes, with so many experience already, and
I didn't think that my children would experience something. I thought, wow, hopefully their generation is better. So when they come with stories of discrimination and racism, I feel saddened that
it's still happening.
It's still happening. Yes. Yeah. So we need to talk about these things. And like we say, bring them to the light.
Yes, yes, I know. Bring them to the light. Yeah, of course. That's exactly what we're also doing here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But it really touched me because, in a way, dealing with all these heartbreaking stuff, it feels very lonely at times.
Yeah.
But it's good to know and feel that many people are, you know, dealing with it consciously and doing everything that it is within our possibility to do. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a purpose, I think, to what we experience sometimes in life. You know, you might not know when it's happening, but I always sort of think there's something there that I'm not aware of, and it will be revealed later in life. My paternal grandmother always had this saying. I'm going to try and translate it. It's Arabic, and she when
could you say it in Arabic first?
لا تكرهوا شيئا عساه يكون خيرا لكم. And what it means, like if something happens, sometimes something happens that feels bad. And then you think, oh, you know, why is this happening to me? And I would go to my grandmother, oh, you know, why this terrible thing is happening to me? And then my grandmother would say to me that don't like hate and get upset with what's happening now, because you have no idea what the goodness underneath it is there for you. That there might be something positive behind it that you cannot yet see. So take it in your stride, embrace it, and see where it's going to lead to. Something like that. It's such a wise, meditative, Buddhist kind of philosophy. And it really stayed with me. I was very young, and it really stayed with me, that idea of take a deep breath when something terrible happens that is not like, you know, expected. Breathe into it, give it the time, and see what happens. Perhaps it will lead to something good that you don't see yet.
That you don't see yet. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah. I really like that. She was a very wise woman.
And you inherited that.
I don't know. She was very nurturing, and definitely I inherited that. Yeah. She was a very sort of nurturing, compassionate, loving woman, and I really think she saved me. So I'm very grateful to her and to her spirit that lives within me.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we have come to the end of the energy talk. Yeah. I've learned so many things from you and about you, where you're coming from and where you're heading to. It is truly inspiring.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm truly inspired also hearing your part and how much we have in common.
Yes, it's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So no wonder we ended up having a conversation. See,
yeah, I know.
We were drawn towards each other.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I only saw you a couple of times, I think, during networking events, and I've heard you speak.
Yeah.
And I think that really resonated with me, the way you spoke. Yeah.
Yeah. No, same with you.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. Thank you very much for your time. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, same here.
Thanks.